So good morning, students. Let's start with solving few more numericals in module 1. So before that, I just want to recap what we had done yesterday. So we looked at the cutoff condition for a single mode fiber. We revisited that yesterday, and we looked in little detail what this propagation constant is. So this propagation constant basically will tell us the change in amplitude of a wave, that is group of signals, as the wave is going to propagate. So with distance, what happens to the amplitude, then that information can be obtained by the uh, you know the propagation constant. Then we also looked at how we can write this propagation constant, and I told you that uh, the fiber is a non-linear channel, because of which there is an exponential decay in the power as we move from the source towards the destination. This aspect we'll be doing in module 2, and I'll be going into the detail of this. This is a very important aspect, because of which designing an optical fiber system becomes complex, because if you have a channel which is linear, then the power decay or power decrease will also be linear in that manner, right? But with non-linearity, so in fiber we have an exponential decay. So suddenly the power will just start decreasing as the signal is going to move from source to the receiver. So we'll look at this aspect in module 2. Then we saw how we can write this beta, the propagation constant, as alpha plus this gamma as alpha plus I beta, where alpha is the attenuation constant and beta is known as a phase constant, which helps us in identifying the dispersion factor, right? Then we looked at mode field diameter, which is one of the parameters used to analyze the multimode fibers. And since it deals with the multimode fiber, we've only looked at its definition and few aspects. We've not gone into the depth of deriving the formulas and other things, right? So we saw that this mode field diameter looks has a Gaussian shape, and it helps us in predicting various losses like bending loss, splice loss, and it also helps us in predicting dispersion, which we'll see in module 2, right? Then I gave you the important factors in fiber material. It's mostly theoretical, this part, where you could have a glass fiber, plastic, or fibers made up of silica. And then we looked at a few important factors of glass, plastic fiber, glass fiber, then photonic crystal fibers. This is the one which mostly comes in the exam, the photonic crystal fibers, and these can be split as index guided fiber or a photonic band gap fiber, and I told you what is the difference between the two, right? Then I gave you some information beyond the syllabus, which will help you in understanding networking. So you basically have a backbone network, and you have an access network, which is also known as the front end network, right? So this backbone is always going to be the OFC, because it gives us very high bandwidth. And the front end or the access, this could be Wi-Fi, or this could be cabled also, right? So access is the network where you want bandwidth, not much of bandwidth, but only for an office environment or a residential environment. Therefore, the huge bandwidth that we get from the OFC can be split into various smaller bandwidths, and each of this chunk can be given to residence, office, educational institutes, so on and so forth. Okay. And then we looked at I think few numericals yesterday, uh, and there are few numericals which I want to solve in module 1. So let's do those, and then we'll move on to module 2, and I'll give you an introduction to module 2. Module 2 is very important. It deals with the issues which occur in the fiber. So fiber in general will give you very high bandwidth, which we have discussed. Because it deals with light, it also enables very less or absolutely no electromagnetic interference. But the price to pay for that is very attenuation and dispersion, which we'll see in module 2. And how do we tackle these issues and what are the things that could be done, that we are going to look at module 2. Okay. So before that, let's solve few numericals. So numerical wise, I will be doing all types of numericals so that you can handle any numerical in the exam. Whenever you encounter any numerical, the type of the numerical will be like the ones that I have solved. So I have solved all types of numericals. Okay. So let's look at the first numerical today. So the question is, a graded index fiber with core refractive index of 1.5 has an index profile of 1.90, a relative refractive index difference of 1.3% and core diameter of 40 micrometer. Question is, estimate the number of guided modes propagating in the fiber when transmitted light has a wavelength of 1.55 micrometer and determine cutoff value of normalized frequency for single mode transmission in the fiber. Okay, so there are a lot of things which are required to be found, but if we understand the question properly, then it's very simple to find, right? So let me reread the question. It says we have a graded index fiber with core refractive index of 1.5. So while I'm reading, let's just note down what are the values which are given to us, right? So questions like this could be tricky because everything is mentioned in the form of words, and we need to first write them in the form of constants which we are aware of, like n1, n2, delta, na. So we need to know what which of these is what, right? So it says a graded index fiber with core refractive index of 1.5. So we are given the core refractive index. So for us in our derivation, the core refractive index is n1, and that is 1.5. Right? Then it says has an index profile of 1.90. So since this is a graded index fiber, which is specified here, we know that this graded index fiber depends on profile parameter called alpha, where alpha equal to 1 is triangular, alpha equal to 2 is parabolic, and alpha equal to infinity makes this graded index fiber a step index fiber, right? However, in this question, the graded index profile is given to us as 1.9. That means the value of alpha for this fiber is 1.9. Is 1.9. Then it says a relative refractive index difference of 1.3. That means the value of delta is given to us as 3. 1.3%, and a core diameter of 40 micrometer. That means 2A. Please be careful here. I'll keep repeating. Students make a lot of mistakes here. Please have in mind, A is how we have defined as the radius of the core. What we are given here is the core diameter. That means 2A is 40 micrometer, which will imply that A is 20 micrometer. And with this, we are supposed to find the number of guided modes and cutoff value for normalized frequency. We are also given that the wavelength of operation is 1.55 micrometer. That means lambda is 1.55 micrometer. What we are supposed to find is number of guided modes. That means M. And we are also supposed to determine the cutoff value of normalized frequency. That means we are also supposed to find V number. Another name for V number is the cutoff, is the normalized frequency, and we are given that there has to be single mode operation transmission in the fiber. So these are the parameters which are given to us. Right now, let's first see how we can calculate the value of the number of modes. Right. Okay. Now, for number of modes in graded index fiber, right, this is defined as M, which is alpha by alpha plus 2 V square by 2. Right. So this equation I had already given to you. Okay. So we are given the value of alpha as 1.9, but we do not know the value of V. Right. So first let's calculate the value of V. So the V number is given as 2 pi by lambda into A into Na. Right. However, we are not given the value of Na, so I can write this as 2 pi by lambda into A. Value of Na is n1 square minus n2 square. However, I am not given the value of n2. Therefore, another form of the V number equation is 2 pi by lambda into A, and I can write this root of n1 square minus n2 square in the form of delta as n1 root 2 delta. Right. So this third format is the one that I can readily use because we are given all the values. Right. So V will be pi. I'll combine 2A because we are given the value of 2A as 40 micrometer divided by lambda into n1 root 2 delta. Right. So this will be pi. 2A is 40 micrometer, 10 raised to minus 6 divided by lambda. Lambda is 1.55 into 10 raised to minus 6 meters into n1 is 1.5 into root of 2 into delta, which is 1.3%, which is 0.013. Right. So with these parameters inserted, now we can calculate the value of V. So let me do that. First up, I'll cancel this 10 raised to minus 6 with this 10 raised to minus 6. That makes it easy for us. And that 1.5 here and 1.55 almost cancel. So let's see what answer we get here. Okay, so I get V somewhere around 19.6 approximately. You may get 19.59 or something like that. So the V that we get here is 19.6. So now with this V, we can calculate the number of modes. So the number of modes here is alpha by alpha plus 2. So 1.9 divided by 1.9 plus 2 into V square, 19.6 the whole square divided by 2. So let me see what value we get here. So I get about 93.4. So I will take it to a higher value and I'll call this 94 modes. So this fiber with all these values can support 94 modes. Okay. So for those who are solving with me, just check if you get this answer, because I'm also calculating here. Okay. Now, so that is the first part that we had to do. We had to find the number of modes. Okay. Now the second part, let me go back to the question so we can read it. In the second part, we need to determine cutoff value of normalized frequency for single mode transmission. For single mode transmission. So we need to find what is the cutoff value of the normalized frequency. So this can be found as this implies that the cutoff value. Okay, so let me rewrite the equation for V. V is 2 pi a by lambda n1 root 2 delta, right? Now, if I have to find the cutoff value of V number, let me call this some VC, where C implies cutoff. This will be 2 pi a divided by lambda C, cutoff wavelength, right? Lambda C, which is the cutoff wavelength, n1 root 2 delta. N1 root 2 delta. Right? This is the value of the cutoff frequency, cutoff normalized frequency. Right? Now, this part here, I already have evaluated the value, and that value is 19.6 here. Right? So this V here is 19.6. Now this VC is 2 pi a n1 root 2 delta. I'll combine all of this divided by lambda c. Divided by lambda c. Right? Now, for single mode operation, we know that V must be less than or equal to 2.405. Right? And so we are going to take this as V equal to 2.405. And in this example, we are calling this as cutoff normalized frequency. Cutoff normalized frequency. So I'm going to divide V and VC. So I'll have V divided by VC. The value of V is 2 pi a divided by lambda n1 root 2 delta into 1 by. Now the value of VC is 2 pi a divided by lambda c n1 root 2 delta, because the fiber is the same, only the cutoff wavelength is going to change, right? Therefore, V by Vc will be, now I can eliminate all the factors which will divide, right? So 2 pi a n1 root 2 delta will cancel each other, and what we will get is lambda c by lambda, right? That implies the value of V we have calculated 19.6. The value of VC for single mode operation is 2.405. We don't know the value of lambda c, which we have to calculate. The value of lambda is already given to us, which is 1.55 micrometer, right? Therefore, from here we can find the value of lambda c, which is 19.6 into 1.55. I'll keep the micrometer separate so that I'll get the wavelength answer in micrometer, and this will divide by 2.405. So let me calculate this value. So I get about 10.18 micrometer. So I hope it is clear how we can find this wavelength for operation, right? So for the graded index fiber, the wavelength was 1.55 micrometer. But if you want this fiber to operate as a single mode fiber, then in that case, the wavelength of operation should be 10.18 micrometer.
So,
Ah,
sir, we got 12.63.
how much?
12.63.
12.63. One second. Are you getting this ratio here? 19.6 into 1.55 divided by 2. 12.63. I made a mistake. Thanks, sir. 12.63 and micrometer. Okay. Let's look at another problem. I think I've solved most of the problems. Let me see if we have missed any problem. Okay. So numerical 2. This is a simple problem. A multimode step index fiber with a core diameter of 80 micrometer and delta equal to 1.5% is operating at a wavelength of 0.85 micrometer if the refractive index of the core is 1.48. Estimate first normalized frequency and second number of guided modes. So I'll give you a couple of minutes so you can look at the equations and see how you can find this answer. It's a simple problem. Okay, I'll just give you a couple of minutes. Uh, see how you can solve this. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay, I'm right here. I hope you are able to solve. If you have any questions, please ask me. Okay. I think we were able to at least write the equation. So let me also try solving this. I'll do the first part where we have to find the normalized frequency, which is V, which is 2 pi by lambda A n1 root 2 delta. I'm using this form of equation for V number because delta is given to us, right? So right here, 2 pi by lambda is 0.85 micrometer, 10 raised to minus 6 into A, which is core diameter is 80, so we have 40 micrometer, into N1, which is 1.48, into 2 into delta, where delta is 1.5%, so we have 0.015. So 10 raised to minus 6 and minus 6 cancels. Let's see what I get. Okay, so I have I get 75.9. Anyone gets that value?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. The decimal part may vary, but we get about 75.8, something like that.
75.79.
Yeah, okay. So I just took extra decimal for pi, that's why maybe. Okay. Okay. And the next is we have to find the number of modes. So modes is nothing but v square by 2. So it will be 75.9 the whole square divided by 2. So I get this as approximately 2874 modes. Anyone get that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I hope everyone was solving this and they can match the answer.
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. So I've solved all types of numericals which we can encounter in the exam as well as in general. So there could be few more numericals in John Senior and Gert Kaiser, which you could look at. If you are able to solve it, great. Otherwise, you can let me know. I will solve it for you and share. We can share it with the entire class. But all types of numericals for all types of parameters in module 1 we have already solved. Okay, and we've discussed all the points which are specified in your syllabus, as well as everything which is required in terms of understanding the operation of an optical fiber. So we have discussed what are the advantages, what are the windows of the fiber, what have been the generations, which is the spectrum range over which fiber operates, how it operates, how light will propagate, using the Snell's law, and then further the total internal reflection. What is the concept of modes? What is refractive index based on which we can have types of fibers? How can we have a single mode fiber? We concentrated on single mode fiber because we are interested only in transmitting uh, uh, the signal for longer distance. We don't want to transmit the signal for shorter distance. Therefore, we discussed about the single mode fiber. What is the V number? What should be the cutoff frequency, cutoff wavelength, propagation constant, making of fiber in general. So we've discussed all that in module 1. Now everything about the fiber looks great because it provides very high bandwidth. Electromagnetic interference is less, and you can these days underwater communication is based on optical fibers. So it can also be integrated with wireless communication, satellite communication. So everything looks very good in regard to the fiber. However, there are issues in the fiber like any other channel. What do I mean by that? For example, if you take Wi-Fi, the one that we use, mobile internet or the broadband that you may be using, when it rains, you start facing some issues. If you are using mobile data and you go to the basement, then the network's not there, so you don't get internet. So like that, you get issues in the fiber as well. So fiber is not free of issues. There are many issues in the fiber. The basic issue which comes in the fiber, the basic issue that comes in the fiber is that this fiber is non-linear. So if input is A, the output is not going to be AX plus B. It's not as simple as that, right? If that was the case, then it would be, it would be easy for us to deal with the fiber and the issues. Okay, so fiber basically is a non-linear channel. So if I insert some x, I'll get some x square or x cube plus y outside. We don't know. So in general, what has been observed is this, that if you have a fiber, and let's say the length of this fiber is some L. Let me use capital L. And if at the input, this is the source, this is the destination. So if the inserted power from the source is some P in, I'm calling it P in because it's the input power. It has been observed that the output power, let us call this P naught or P out, is related to the input power, P in the form of an exponential decay. That means this P in on the RHS gets multiplied with e raised to minus some factor alpha into the length of this fiber, Now in this equation, alpha is the attenuation constant, and this is measured in the units of dB per kilometer. These units are very, very important. We need to understand this unit, and only then we can really understand how this alpha works. Okay, so we need to understand that. So you have P out, which is P in e raised to minus alpha. So you can see clearly that there is an exponential decay. In the power as you move from the source towards the destination. So if I want to diagrammatically represent this within the fiber, this is what is going to happen. So if I make a graph inside the fiber, where x-axis will be obviously the length and the y-axis is the power, then at the source end you get the highest power. At the source end you will get the highest power, and with distance this power will start to reduce. So this is what is happening to the power. Now obviously this is not a good scenario, because as the power is going to decrease, we are talking about the light power, what you will get at the receiver end will be very less power in the light, and you will detect it, and you will then convert it into corresponding electricity, and you will then give that to the user, and obviously the user is not going to be happy because the power is lost, right? So one instant solution that anyone can tell you about this is use an amplifier. But please note here, this decay in the power is happening inside the fiber. It is not happening outside the fiber. You can only use an amplifier if there is power decay outside of the fiber. Then I can insert a device there, right? That also happens, and we'll discuss about that in fiber. So like any communication, that loss is also going to happen, and we'll be putting optical amplifiers or electrical amplifiers there. But this loss is happening inside the fiber, right? So the question is, with all this, how do we sustain, the high bandwidth and very high power level? So we need to understand that since this is happening inside the fiber, we must design our system such that with this kind of power decay, I still get the desired performance. So this is going to happen because this is the property of the fiber. So this decay in the power is going to happen, but what can I do as an engineer that I can still get the performance that we desire with this power decay, right? So that is what module 2 is going to deal with. It is going to tell us about attenuation, where this power decay will be explained to us in much detail, and we'll see that this attenuation is going to limit the optical power. It is going to limit the optical power. And the other factor which we are going to look at in this module is dispersion. Now this dispersion, I think I told you in the last lecture. So if we take a bit looks like that between time 0 to t, and let this time be in seconds. So if I'm transmitting this bit, I say that I'm transmitting 1 bit per second, or this can also be written as 1 bps, 1 bit per second, right? If in this 0 to t, the same time period, I am able to transmit 2 bits, then I say that the bit rate is 2 bits per second, right? So this is what, as layman, we call it as data, right? I want higher data. It is actually not higher data, you want higher data rate, right? Because data is something that you want to view or send, right? So it is actually higher data rate, and for higher data rate you need to pay more, right? However, what this dispersion does is, if I take this let's say take this example of 1 bit per second in 0 to 2 t seconds with distance, that means as the bit is going to propagate longer distances, because of the attenuation factor and other factors like scattering and other factors like bending and other factors which we are going to look at, this bit between 0 to t starts to elongate, and now the bit looks something like this with distance, and this is 0, this is t. So you can see that the original bit between 0 to t has now elongated, and part of it lies here on the left hand side, which I'm shading, and part of it lies on the right hand side, which I'm shading, right? Now obviously this is not a good thing, because after t there is going to be another bit, so I'm drawing it with dotted lines, and before 0 also there is one bit which I'm drawing with dotted lines. So what is going to happen, because of this dispersion, part of this bit which has elongated or dispersed is now lying in the time period of another bit, which leads to what in general we call as crosstalk or interference, right? You would have studied this as inter-symbol interference, or in short ISI, inter-symbol interference. That means 2 bits, 2 symbols are going to start having a crosstalk with each other, right? So not a good thing. What is the solution? Very instant solution. Any engineer will give you. Keep the distance, keep the time period of the bits far away. For example, have 0 here, have t here, then start the next bit t1 to t2 here, then start on the left hand side, start here at minus t1, to minus T2. So original bit is 0 to T. The next bit is T1 to T2. The previous bit was minus T1 to T2. So you can see that there is a gap between the bits, and this in general is known as guard band. Right? So what is the advantage of this guard band? The advantage of the guard band can be seen with this diagram. You have 0 to T here, you have T1 to T2 here. Now even if this bit, even if the bit between 0 to T now elongates, disperses and looks like that, the next bit there is a large probability that it will not interfere with the previous and the next bit, right? So that's an instant solution to minimize interference. However, not a good optimum efficient solution. Why? Because we are having guard band. Guard band is nothing but empty frequency. Why empty frequency? Because in this part which I am now about to shade, this is empty frequency. I am not transmitting any bit. I am not doing any activity in this frequency. Therefore, this frequency just goes wastes. It is just like keeping it aside so that interference will not occur. Right. So this is not a good solution. Of course, sometimes you may need the guard band to get a good solution out of it, but it is not an efficient solution, right? So what are the other solutions to dispersion? That is what we are going to discuss. In terms of optical fiber, we'll discuss how we can minimize the frequency, how we can make some changes in the structure of the fiber so that the dispersion can be minimized. Of course, after doing all of this, then we'll have to keep a guard band, but can we have a lesser guard band so that we are wasting lesser amount of frequency, right? So these are the two aspects which we are going to discuss in module 2. Attenuation directly affects your power. So lesser the attenuation, lesser is the consumption of the power, lesser is going to be your electricity bill. The dispersion is going to directly affect the bandwidth. And all communications are based only on these two aspects, that is power and bandwidth. You want to minimize the usage of power and you want to maximize the use of existing or available bandwidth, right? So this is what we are going to discuss in this module, and of course we are going to discuss the mathematics behind attenuation. Attenuation will have specific mathematics. So before I leave you today, I just introduce you to a new unit which is known as dBm. It is written as dBm. It's a decibel unit, and dBm is, or the power in dBm is calculated as the power, the output power in dBm, the output power in dBm divided by or in reference to power which is 1 milliwatt, right? So usually we calculate everything with respect to or in relation to certain value. dBm is always calculated in relation to or relative to 1 milliwatt. Why 1 milliwatt? Because the source and the receiver in optical fibers can only survive milliwatt of power. If you give watts of power to a laser or an LED, they'll blow up on you, right? Therefore, the power levels are in milliwatt for the optical fiber communication. So dBm is specified as the output power. So let me write this here as P naught, output power in dBm divided by 1 milliwatt, right? So we'll see how we can actually calculate this dBm, what exactly it means. So we'll do some kind of mathematics based on this, and then based on that we will see how we can use it for attenuation, right? So I'll just leave you with the equation. So you have power in dBm, which is in terms of logarithm 10 log the screen visible?
No, sir.
No, sir. Okay, one second. I think I lost the screen. Okay, it will just come up. No? Just hold on. Yeah, I think the screen is back up, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah, so just a last equation. So if we want to calculate the power in dBm, then in terms of the logarithm, the log value, it will be 10 log of the power divided by 1 milliwatt, because it is in relation to 1 milliwatt, where 1 milliwatt is the reference power. So in tomorrow's lecture, we'll take some values and put it inside this equation, and you will see what exactly it means. Right? So it gives us a very nice table where we can see what happens if negative values are given or positive values are given. Okay. So we'll look at those factors in tomorrow's lecture. Okay. So this dBm will be discussed tomorrow, followed by the factor of attenuation, followed by numericals on attenuation.